Rigging is not always necessary. There's a lot of things I've got to consider. Among them, the time that it may take to set up the rigging situation and the overall efficiency of the job. I've got to think about the potential forces that it could put on the tree. I've also got to think about obstacles. Here I don't really have any obstacles. So for this limb, I'm going to use the classic drop cut. I'm going to start with an undercut with the chainsaw, then use my handsaw to scribe a line across the top. Then I'll finish it off with the chainsaw cut down right on top of my undercut. Now notice how I'm positioned here. I'm tied in from overhead. I'm using a couple of loop slings to give me better footing. And I've got my work positioning lanyard around the stem. Notice how I've attached it, both ends back to the center D-ring here. Just in case it were to split during the cutting and split back towards the trunk of the tree, that's going to be a lot safer for me to be positioned that way. Okay, stand clear. All clear. Sometimes it's hard to line up the two cuts, so by scribing a line, okay, stand clear. Okay, I'm going to cut and chuck this piece, but it's a little larger than what I'd want to hold with a webbing sling. So I'm going to use a dead-eye sling, and I'll choke the dead-eye sling off using the eye, and then I'll tie a clove hitch down here below the cut. And of course, I'll finish my clove hitch with at least 2 half hitches. Now I can make this top cut with my chainsaw, or I could feasibly make it with my handsaw, and the sling will catch it. Stand clear below. This way I can keep everything nice and tight. No hardware in the system. And now I can lift it up, unhook it, and toss it. A technique that can be very useful, especially when taking up a small chunk of wood where I don't want to set up a lowering line, is one called the snap cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 cuts from opposing sides, and I want to offset the cuts by about 1 inch or so. And I do want the cuts to bypass, but because I'm not taking off a big piece of wood, there'd be enough wood fiber there to hold the piece intact while I then put the chainsaw away, and then I can snap or break the piece off. Some people refer to this as a mismatch cut. Now, one of the nice things about this technique is it's a good way to get away from using one hand on the chainsaw. Let's say I were to want to grab this piece because I don't want to just cut it and let it fly. I do want to have control over its fall. Maybe I want to make sure I toss it into a good landing area. What people will do is they'll grab the limb with one hand, make the cut with one hand, and that can be extremely dangerous. So let's take a look at this technique. Stand clear, making a cut. Stand clear, piece coming down.